your live. And I'm live too. What up? It's a little impromptu this morning. I could be more prepared. That's me always. I just want to continue a little bit from yesterday, talking about ways of perceiving. And I don't know, I just had like ideas that I wanted to express in my mind. I want to get it out. So I'm going to do that. As a little recap, hi, I'm Elliot. And I'm an evil genius. Evil only because, like, I'm Liv, and I'm a little backwards. And genius because it's like an animus. It's like a daemon. It's a possession. It's the origin of genius to the Greeks, the Scottish Greeks. I don't know, man. You're a genius. I'm a genius. We're all fucking geniuses. If we believe we are. But let's recap yesterday a little bit, just in case you're like, I don't watch your show every day, bro. It's because I don't make one every day. All I do is just not on camera. What up? My name's Elliot, and I'm always on display. Namaste. It's only because I'm like observing my life. And with so much lame, boring, just like world, you gotta entertain yourself. Like yesterday, if you want to know a secret, only because no one else knows it, because it happened in the bathroom. / I'm alone all the time, so no one knows anything. Except you, when we're not alone together. I was listening to a playlist that wasn't mine, so it was great. It was like bringing back some songs that I don't really listen to, and new ones. Anyways, George Michael Jackson, Freedom, Man in the Mirror. I was in the shower bed, and like I sing and dance in the shower. Oh, like 85% of the time I'm in the shower. Like whenever I take a shower, and I love taking a shower. It's like it's as close to fucking the ocean as I can get sometimes, most of the time. Anyways, plus the running water creates moisture. It's like air and moisture in the air, like dissipates like static electrical buildup. So, and it doesn't ground you, but in effect, it airs you out. That makes sense. Also, running water, crashing, expresses negative ions. So that also helps to balance one's energy field out, which is why it's like awesome taking a shower. It can feel so good sometimes, right? Baths have different potential energy because you can still benefit from the negative ion effect if because it's splashing the whole time it's building up, right? And then if you occasionally like drain and like splish splish, that's good. But what the bath has that the shower doesn't have is the soak effect, the immersion, the stillness, and the fact that you're like the soak effect. It's like you're just saying words that sound good. It's like, "Hi, my name is Elliot. That's what I do." It's amusing. In like toxifying and detoxifying, our energetic systems love smooth transitions. The world is intentionally, if accidentally, like accidentally mistaken as the truth creates well intent, but incidentally awful systems. Our plumbing, our electrical systems, everything, it's all killing us. The way our buildings are made. And it can be, it's like, yeah, no, we're controlling humanity. But it's just like, yeah, but even that's a mistaken thought, idea driven by love. Anyways, all that like non-regular systems, the showers, it's all like after you take a dump, it's supposed to go in the earth. You have to take a piss, it's supposed to go in the earth, or the ocean, like the water takes it, the earth takes it. And then it's like, it's grounded. But instead, we put in like porcelain bowls that are like careful not to absorb any energetic energy. And then they whoosh down all like tubes of plastic and metal and everything like that. And all the while getting jumbled up, unstructuring the water / like bonds, molecular bonds and whatnot. It's not like breaking shit up at an atomic level, but it's like walking like in a huge line of people, and you're all going to the same place, and it's a long fucking ride. But instead of having like at least the benefit of walking alongside the same people for the whole while, so it's like even if you don't know them, you get to know them. And it's long enough, so it's like even if you don't like them, you end up being like, well, whatever, man. We're all shit anyways. It's like constantly jostling. So it's like, don't think about jostling shit. think about the people analogy. It's more helpful. But if it's like you just get enough time to like, it's like, oh, I know you, and then it's like, Barr. So nothing becomes structured and everything is unhappy. Eventually, though, given enough time, everything becomes its own like systemized order. It's like even random in a closed system becomes reliably random, which is ordered, right? Which is why we're all so awesome at this point, because the world is stupid, but we're not, as like an aspect of divinity, of the universe, of creation. And even our stupid systems are not stupid intrinsically as items of the universe. The pipes are like, this is dumb, but like, I'm brilliant. See what we did? Now we're not killing everything accidentally, incidentally. Anyways, back to the bath. It's nice for your body to be like, I want to say diffusing. It's like emptying. It's like self-proclaimed toxicity into a basin. It's not like you're soaking in it. You're soaking in water. Right? The thought that like having a bath is really just you sitting in like your own like dirtiness is like, wow, you thought of that for a whole like step, didn't you? Congratulations. You went nowhere. You went nowhere with that, you know? Because right now, I don't know where you are. Maybe you're in the bath. That's sexy. And when I talk like that, because I talk like that all the time, I love women. Not because I'm a man, but because I am. But I'm always, and I promise, whenever I talk like that on this platform, I'm always accounting a little bit for if you're a man. And I mean it then too. All my like crude sensuality slash sexuality. And it doesn't matter what your age you are too. Unless you're like too young. And if you're too young, like if you think you're too young, you're too young. That's my parameter. In which case, like, you know I'm not talking to you because you're too young. Fucking problem solved. Give people credit, and credit will be due. What showers don't do, you have to actually like conceive of it yourself for it to be done, is because the water's not collecting at your feet. Your energy can be confused as to like what's the fuck is going on right now. It's like it's rain, it's a waterfall, but then there's no constancy under your feet of the water. Like the water, we're not feeling the water coming all the way from the sky, and we're not feeling a part of where the water is eventually all going. What the fuck is going on right now? Right? In fact, there's like metal under your feet. What the fuck is metal? You know, or plastic or whatever, you know, your bathtub is made of. And so your like energetic field isn't quite sure where you stop, where the water starts, and then where it's emptying the you and the not you into. Okay. And so you can get clean, but not get clean. And then to make matters worse, you introduce soap or soapy products, which poison slash strip your organism from its own self-constancy. It's like your body, it's not, it's like what I said with when you clean yourself or you're trying to create like a system of self-cohesion, but anything that's random indefinitely becomes part of an ordered system. It's true. But all that washing, all that cleaning of non-dirty surfaces is what it's making you part of. It needs that random because you're always resetting back to a kind of zero. It's like, cool. Random. It's like part of me needs to ground clearly. Books are just falling off of shelves. Fair enough. Ground, sometimes I like to float. Being spiritual is so lame sometimes, yeah. Just listening to your intuition. I know that I'm going off on a tangent, but I don't really teach like this. I'm always just wanting to have a conversation with my friends. As yous. And this is like a bit of a primer on non-linearity. I love that word because it's so cool to like spell slash say in your mind, but then it feels different when you say it outside. Anyways, for me. when you strip your, it's like bacteria loves to accumulate on the surface of your skin. It's like, yeah, because they live there. Like your skin, the surface of your skin doesn't magically produce a thing called vitamin D. The sunlight, it like saturates the surface of your skin, and then microscopic organisms, bacteria, like induce processes that convert, that have aspects of like photovoltaic transduction, or like a kind of photosynthesis. Not a kind of photosynthesis, a literal photosynthesis. I am such a nerd. Because that was funny for me. It wasn't funny. But it was funny for me. Because I'm a nerd. I love it. Let's go back to vitamin D. Yeah, so it's the bacteria. Bacteria, there's no such thing as bacteria anymore than anything such thing as a virus. It's all just words designing processes that we're encapsulating in like definitions. Last night I watched the beginning of Spider-Man, like the first one. Not the first one, but you know, the Tobey Maguire one. And I always remember that process of him being like really like, he's like being like, he's like hearing the professor or the technician's voice expressing like how things work, you know, the genetically engineered spiders. It's like the and it's like basically expressing how the spider's powers can like how it's traveling or transitioning into him or transmuting him. And it's like using like RNA, molecular conveyance, which is basically a virus. Like, the world is one. One consciousness. That was like a little bit of like a peek into like multiple little like hints I drop in my videos that it's not responsible to convey all at once, but the truth is in here. Anyways, that was a bunch of like fun tangent laughter. Oh, let me wrap up that point. And I'll make a video or something like that one of these days, again, really trying to neatly package why everyday things that we do in our life that we take for granted, that we think make us like responsible, are actually exactly and precisely the things that kill us. Like soaping our bodies, brushing our teeth, washing our hair, eating mindlessly, caring too much about what we eat, exercising mindlessly, stressing about things that don't matter. Hanging on to too much shit. Not changing your environment on like a regular basis. What do I mean by that? Like, your bed is here. If your couch is there, your table is there. This is the way that you place your cups. This is the way you place your plates. I get it. because we do these things because we need coherence, and when the coherence isn't as close as our bodies, these are like auric, like torsion, electrodynamic, like information fields that are ourselves. Then they have, it's like as close as we can get, which is why we get so attached to everything outside us. You know, it's why when you don't feel good, you want to eat something that you know makes you feel good. You want to drink something that makes you feel good. You want to, like, retail therapy, right? You want to, it's you go outside yourself for the outside of yourself, the closest thing that you can find that brings you a sense of cohesion. And because you're always stripping yourself of all of the things that make you regular, you're random. You're always random. You've got no center, no stability. But you can't exist in an unordered system and live. You know, that's how you die. That's all cancer is. And all disease really is the inevitability of an unordered system not finding self-coherence. It's like, oh, you just must not belong. Self-destruct. Cancer is not self-destruction. Look, I'm not being insensitive, but all disease is self-destruction. Aging is self-destruction. There's no aspect of our humanity, of our genetic expression, that necessitates aging. After a point of like organizational potentiation, maturation. There's no like part of us that's like, oh, we're getting tired. We've been at this for a while, so it's time for us to wear thin. I know that makes sense in our mind, as like, because we live in this world of technology where we make our creations have planned obsolescence built into them, even when we think they don't. Right? It's the assumption that everything dies because we die. When in actuality, dying is an opportunity, not an unplanned necessity. I guess I should unpack that a little bit. It makes sense in our mind that we wear thin because, like, time passes. You're not going to live forever, but every single part of your body recreates itself and expels its. It's like it sheds its skin, its cellular skin, as it were, on different cycles of regularity. No part of your body is the same part of your body that was a part of your body 5 years ago, or not, like 20, 30 years ago. And if you're not that old yet, then cool, maybe part of your body is, but eventually it won't be. Everything becomes replaced. And the only reason it isn't replaced perfectly is a lack of clear communication between like the mitosis of your like DNA replication from one cell to the next. And all that is electrodynamic, electrochemical communication. It's all like data signal processing. It's all fields of information communicating with fields of information. And because there's all this fucking static in our unsystemized or systemized disorder, we die. Because even on a cellular level, like on an atomic level, our cells are like, yeah, okay, cool. It's like, and you know, we're taking a step over here. We're just copying ourselves, and in the little space between ourselves and our copies, we're like, what did we just think? I was saying something. What did I just say? Fuck, I can't remember. Fuck it. It was probably something like this, and it's not perfect. And then We create an unperfect copy of ourselves. But that perfect blueprint is not lost either, because that is indefinitely stored in our systems until we die. It's just the copying mechanisms become retarded, like literally. I love that word because there's no reason that shouldn't be the most appropriate word to be using. It's only a social convention, which was only to create another way of addressing people inappropriately. It's like, oh, retarded? Like, we're normalized to that? Okay, cool. Now retarded's a bad word, and this is the right word. I don't know even what that is, because eventually you can't use, like, if a person has Down syndrome, is it appropriate to say that they have Downs? I feel like there was a time where it wasn't. Anyways. I hope that was interesting, if not helpful. I hope it was coherent, if not interesting. Hi, I'm Elliot, and I spend a lot of time figuring shit out because it's fun for me. Really, teaching is fun for me. And you got, what are you going to teach? I don't know. Shit, I don't know. See what I did there? You don't teach what you know. You teach shit you don't know. Because you can only investigate. It's like, I'm not sure, but this is what I figured out. I don't know it indefinitely or absolutely, but that's why I'm teaching you, because neither do you, and now you'll know, and then we can figure it out more together, either literally side by side or as a part of our greater field of cohesion that is the universe. I don't know. See what I did there? Let's talk about numbers. Okay. Can you see? I know it's like super white and super reflective, and it's just totally contrasted, made contrast with my golden bronze beige complexion. This is what we're used to, right? Let me see how it looks like. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, okay. And then I guess that is going to look like that. So let's do... Yeah, that looks like a 2 to you. This is what we're used to. That's so awesome. Okay, hold on. I'm going to do something about the lighting because I love you. I didn't think it would be too much, but give me something to work with. Yeah, okay, it just needs to get used to it. This is what yeah, okay. This is what, we're conditioned to appreciate as like obvious. 1, and then 2, and then 3. After 3, there's 4, and there's 5, and then there's 6, and blah, blah, blah. 1 is a single thing, and then if you add 1 more of it to itself, you get 2, and then if you just, the very next thing is 3, and the very next thing is 4, and it's 5. So 2 plus 3, because now 2 is 2 things, and 3 is 3 things. So 2 things plus 3 things is 5 things. And this is how we represent things in our world. They don't go backwards unless we're counting backwards. And if you get to 1 and you keep counting, then you go into to numbers that don't really exist. We call negative numbers. Now, if we have negative numbers and now these become positive numbers, see how it already is starting to be like, well, actually, wow, things aren't. We take for granted some really stupid systems, huh? Yeah, okay. So instead of thinking of it like that, and today we'll use more than one color. Maybe. Yeah, there you go. How am I going to do this? It's like easy for me. Okay, we'll do that. I'm actually obviously just playing. Oh, we gotta erase that. Let's see. Yeah, fuck it. I'm done caring that much. We figured it out enough. Okay. That's just super reflective. I love it. This is one thing, right? This is another thing. This is another thing, right? This is another thing. There's another thing. There's another thing. And here's another thing. So this is a representation of 6 things. If we want to create an like equation, can you not do that, please? I'm working. Faye, can you not do that, please? You're talking to me? Yeah, it's your name. Huh? Yes. Can you not do that, please, right now? Or take it into your room, please? As in the kettle. Thank you. It's just the noise. And I'm live right now. So this can be expressed as an equation of these. 1 plus this plus this plus this plus this. But how you see how this makes more sense on its own. But thank you, plus 1 equals 2. Then, actually, I'll do that. Maybe this will be better. Okay, that's good. Actually, okay. Thanks for being patient with me. That's familiar, right? No, it's not. I was like, I meant to do the two reverse, but I just totally did it the normal way. Okay. It's fun for me to kind of mirror it irrationally. How's that? Yeah, okay. It's like this symbol plus. There. Okay. This symbol plus this symbol equals this symbol. How would you represent this um, in a system that is more like self-expressed? Right? To say 1 plus 1 equals 2 in the system of like the circles, for instance, you could do this. Just that. But where's the plus sign? Where's the equal sign? And we won't go into much more arithmetic after this. This is exactly the example that we'll like unpack and use for all the different like expressions of what I mean, how you can think differently in terms of sequence, because your thoughts use the systems that it knows for self-expression, which equates to self-identification, self-perception, self-consciousness. And you are not a string of steps, of sequential steps. You are not one directional. You are not singularly local. You are everywhere where you are simultaneously. You are non-locally, you are a non-local expression of a single point in space and time, persisting. Where's the operations? Where's the operators, right? This is an operator, the plus sign, it's an operator. The equal sign is an operator. This unit and this unit, where's the operator? Well, it's implicit. Here's one thing, here's the other thing. And if you're looking at them together, then it's two things. Of course, if you're not looking at them together, then it's one thing and another thing. This thing is equal to the other thing if you're looking at sameness. So it's actually all of these different operations simultaneously. See how, like, if looking at your world in this way, a deeper, more true perception, you can start to see yourself like this. Okay, let's talk about how this is not this. Okay. And this is fun for me. Maybe it's fun. I think it's fun for you too, or at least no. I'm going to go with that because you're still like you're here. So we're like the same in this way. Yeah. Okay. In the numeric system, like the alphanumeric system, 1, this number, and now this is the number, and we'll put a little like just to delineate it from being a line. Right? We're making the assumption that one of these things plus one of these things equals 2. But if we combine this and that, can you find this and that in this? Right? Like just like the shape of it. Can you see how this and this make this? No, obviously. Right? You can kind of make it work, but no, you can't. Now, there is a reason that this shape follows this shape, but that's more deep of a conversation that we can have that I'm not really going to go into right now. Because it's too complex of its own conversation. And you might be thinking, okay, well, like, but it's how useful is it to have? No, I'm not going to guess what we're not thinking. The very reason that this, so even just the shape of our numbers in our addition does not equate to anything that resembles what we're implying is mind-breaking. Okay, it's unnatural. Because let's now consider, because actually when you take one of these things and you add another one of these things, then what you have is a singular one of these things and one of these things. Is it 11? It could be. It's definitely the appearance of 11, right? But if I take one of my fingers and I add another one of my fingers, do I have two of the same fingers? No. If you take one apple and you add another of itself, do you have two apples? No, because you don't have another of itself. You have to find another apple. It's another thing. So sure, you can, when we do the 1, 2, 3, 4 in our numeric system, in our conditioned thinking, we are making the assumption that the same thing is being repeated, but then we're expressing as not the same thing. That makes you, on like a fundamental level, crazy. It doesn't make sense. Another way of thinking about it is we'll go up in numbers because it's helpful because we're more than just one. Let's go back to our things. One thing. Now we're going to go into our geometry and two things. What are the, here's one thing, here's two things. Where's the opportunity in creation? Well, they can be side by side. They can intersect. This is its form. These are its forms. If we add another thing, okay, that is going back to our talk of dimensions yesterday. We now have a sense of relationship, right? Because like just one, is this up? Or is this up? Or is this left? Or is this right? Unless we turn it all around or turn it the other way, there's no frame of reference, which is helpful, right? And we're looking at the front of it or we're looking at the back of it. And it doesn't matter what we are doing, we are self-referencing. So if this is one thing and this is one thing, how does the one thing differentiate from the other thing? And then it's space. Whereas from each of these vantages, oh, sorry, it's more like there, right? This can see that it itself and there, and that this exists. Itself, this, and that. Itself, this, and that. Itself, this, and that. So this can now, it's like, here I am, I see you, but I also see you. And because they can all communicate with each other, there's no confusion of like, wait, am I up? Am I left? Am I right? Well, it's like, no, if I'm up and you're down, then you're left. If I'm up and you're down, then you're right. Which is why the 3 is really the only one, the first. Okay? We like to think of 4 as the stable number and the 3 is the third wheel. It's like, no, actually everything is made up of at least 3. 3 is the real number 1. Okay? What if we add one more? Well, this is the linear assumption we make when we add 4 things together, right? It's the familiar square. But in actuality, if you take 4 globes of neodymium magnets, for instance, like they'd be familiar. They don't clump up in a square. No, you're gonna find your 3 things. They kind of equalize within each other, because in a sphere there's no the North Pole and South Pole, because those aren't real things. It's all just expressions of magnetic force and like inertial equilibrium. The 4th thing would actually go here, right? Because it's the center of it. If the center isn't a flat plane, the center is always the middle of the of all the things, right? So let's build that a little bit bigger here. We've got 1 thing, and then 2 things, and then 3 things. But if it's all like, if these things are on a flat surface, they're not piling on each other, right? Because there's not enough surface area for it to pile on each other. So but if we had one more thing, it would pile on and balance itself. And now we have what we call the first Platonic solid, the tetrahedron, right? 4 doesn't make a cube, 4 makes a pyramid. And and that is implicit. Like, think of all of that is implicit when we use just these singular dots as our symbols of operation. We are learning geometry. We are learning like natural expressions of addition and subtraction, right? If we had, okay, so let's keep going. One thing, sorry, you know what? I'll do it for a little clearer. Then another thing, and then now we're going to add another thing. Where's this other thing going to go? Well, now we have to think in terms of the surrounding space, because if our things are in a space, it's like a space confined, where there's only so many, like there's it's, well, now you think there's only so many places that it can go. 3, now 4, and then 5, and then 6. The dimensions start unfolding before you as a result of your own exploration. If we take the confusion of the cube, what we call a cube, the square, whatnot, doesn't arrive after 4. 4 is not a point of stability. 4 is always a plateau. After 3 things, you have something that is equal on all sides. It can be. It has the potential to double itself and then create another shape of stability. Like when you double a tetrahedron is when you get a cube, right? I'm going to do another one. Right. Where was I? Yeah, okay. When you think of how I like to think of it in one way, why 4 is not stable, it's an interim, is it must be, otherwise, because it's not going to go anywhere if left on its own. It's got no movement, right? A cube doesn't, when given force, it doesn't express a different side of itself. It just slides like forward, same face down, same face forward, right? If you keep multiplying the cubes, the forms of stability that only a cube can make is really only expressions of itself. And we call that stability, but that isn't stable. That isn't order in a natural system. That's death, right? Like precise replication, like the reason that we don't genetically precisely replicate ourselves, because that equates to death unless some other aspect of ourself is expressing the natural dynamic evolution that is a universe of change. So if our personalities don't change, if our spirits, our souls, our identities don't change, then our bodies must. Because anything that lasts forever, it is almost by its own definition unchanging. And so that would be an absolute expression of corruption. There's no indefinitely good way to do anything, except that any one way of doing anything eventually becomes outdated in a system of growth, of change, of learning. And it's like, hi, my name is Elliot. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is the world I live in. And because we're not perceiving the world as it truly is, or as it truly could be, which is its own like evolving magical system of like impossibility, right? It's like, well, it's the world. It's just the way it is. Nothing changes. It's like, well, that's not true. You want change? I'll give you change. Death, right? Decay. Because just as much as we need as like spiritual, soulful, existential beings, we need fields of coherence. The fields of coherence can only exist in resistance to like a closed system of dynamism. Otherwise, there's no field of coherence. It's just isness, stagnation. It's like it's stillness, but in relative to nothing else. So it's not really stillness. It's like pause. And if it's paused, it might as well not be, because it's not doing anything. It's not going anywhere, and never be anything else. But eternity, like non-time, or having like a conscious experience of time that is without duration, is possible, and then becomes useful in its own regard, haha. But in comparison or relation, only if it is connected to a system of time, of change, of finitude. The one cannot really exist without the other, but they can impossibly both exist as long as they are connected. And that can be unconscious and unknowing, in which case you're only going to be really a participant in whatever schema of system that you can relate to as a conscious being, self-awareness, self-consciousness, or nothing, period. Dot. You are, and you won't be aware of it. It's like, just chilling, just going along, doing my thing. And you're always that one. You're always just go along doing my thing. You're always that in a sphere of influence, in a sphere of consciousness, relative to an aspect of reality that's like, you have no idea. But one day, you might / will, because that's what all this is. The point is to reach into the unknown eventually, in your own way. Maybe. Okay, let's go back to the numbers and the shapes. Why 4 is only a halfway mark is precisely because if you combine tetrahedrons together, you make a cube. So 4 So if you combine, if you take like 4 tetrahedrons, you, right? Let's do it. 1, and then 2, kind of diamond shape, and then that, that. No, it's like 6. Yeah. It can, I don't know. You know what? Maybe my point is made, at least a little bit enough in that regard. Because I think that if to go much further with it might get too complicated. And I think that you probably grasp what I'm trying to say enough to how many wow, we're in there. So I'm going to start to wrap this up a little bit. One of my favorite things to do is lose temporarily the cover of caps, because I usually hold it in my right hand, but then I drop it, and it's always in my lap. But then that's the mystery. It's like I dropped it in my lap. Where did it go if it's not in my lap anymore? And we can actually move on a little bit without the drawings, because this is how I'd love to wrap this up. Always relating to how we can relate to one another in more love, right? If you and I, singularly, come together, we are not two things, right? We are not 1 + 1 = 2. One of us does not come after the other. And when we do, then what's unconscious and explicit, but so ignored by our conditioning, is when we are together, one follows the other, but only ever like our legs, like our feet. One and then the other. And ignored, unconscious, but nonetheless true, for every step forward, for every leg that's forward, we lean on the leg that's back. So what leg is really the leading leg? The leg that appears forward in space and time, or the one that is the most stable at any given space and time? The one that lands, or the one that's already here? And this way of thinking can be as real and every day as a way of like a collective way of thinking, when our systems are not structured as such to imply erroneously linearity where it doesn't exist. let's talk about some mysterious numbers, like at the end here, for another kind of point, right? Prime numbers, 7, 11, 13, because we've already talked about 1, 2, and 3. And we've even talked about 4, which isn't a prime number, but we've hinted as to why it's not prime. It's not special. It's not special. You can do anything, like, you know. It's not a building block, really, but it's 4 is what we it's exactly what we look at or what we think of when we think of blocks of building. But in actuality, all our dry walls are framed triangularly. It's like 2 triangles making a rectangle for stability. There's no stability in 4 because the center there's no reinforcing. It's just the frame where the circumference is relying only on itself for stability, but it ignores an entire inner dimension. Like, think about a cube made of like toothpicks and little pieces of like sticky tack or Play-Doh connecting them, okay? Or marshmallows. You could push down with a certain amount of reliability and stability. You can push kind of like, or you can push like into. But if you take the corners, any corner, and you push towards the center, what happens to your marshmallow cube? It dies. You know, it becomes eaten. Because it's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna eat it. Right? Whereas 5, what does 5 make? Well, 5 could probably make a cube. We just put that marshmallow in the center. Now, have each of those 4 points stick into that marshmallow. You wouldn't think automatically that 5 would make a cube. Right? It's like 5, pentagon. Right? No. Not at all. Not necessarily. If we scale down to the tetrahedron, pyramid even, pyramid and tetrahedron is different because the base of a pyramid is 4-sided, so it's a square, and a tetrahedron is like triangular. But the angles of a tetrahedron, like, it's not all equal angled. I'll let you explore that further. In your mind, you don't have to look it up. You can look it up because it's interesting, but you can, like, how would you make 3? No, you couldn't. I don't know. I think this stuff is interesting because I'm made up of these things. You're made up of these things. Everything is made up of the basic, most elegant units of expression in creation, which is why sacred geometry is not fanciful. It's actually an expression of how profane, like, real words of importance have become. It's like sacred geometry. It's like, you believe in like tarot and astrology, and butterflies are really fairies, and other fantastical things like Harry Potter, right? Geometry, sacredness. Why do we combine when we combine sacredness and geometry? That becomes a like meme of a joke. Like how fucked up is that social conditioning? Sacredness and geometry. It's because if you're not good at math, you're not good at geometry. And sacredness, nothing is sacred because there's no real God. God doesn't exist. Look at the world. It sucks. Look at our solar system that we truly see and reflect back to what we truly see. There's no bullshit there. Do you see God there? Do you see anything else there? And of course there's God. Of course there's God. In God we trust. We're the American people. We're good Christians. We're the such and such people. We believe in this God. We believe in that God, blah, blah, blah. But we don't act at all like we believe in God. We do things every day like we do not believe in anything that is not just greater than us, but greater than us and loves us. And that we are of that thing. Look at any influence of power. Just because you say doesn't mean you are. In fact, saying means shit. What you are is what you be, what you do, and we live in a godless world. We live in a non-sacred construction of divinity, of and all sacred is, all divinity, it's wonder, it's wowness of like, it's curiosity and acceptance of beauty and the exploration and adventure of all that. There's nothing inherently wrong with being a dick, but it's the stagnation of it. It's like, which is why maybe like our generation, like give or take a generation, is in a position of being like, this is stupid, we're not going to do it. Because enough time has gone by where like things have kind of been like this for a while, right? And I'm a kid. Things have kind of been like this in a while and I've seen it. It's like this is too long to not change. It's lame. It's stupid. We're not learning anything more. Like, don't be a dick. But I learned that when I was a kid. This is dumb. Why are we still being a dick? You know? Stop it. And just for balance, like, stop being a pussy. Right? Like, stop it. Can we stop being our genitalia and actually start respecting our genitalia and each other and land and just, I don't know, like, be better, because what else are we doing? And I don't need anybody's help to find the wonder in things. But it's funner. And fun. And adventure. They're more interesting. In fact, I feel like I could probably get endlessly fascinated in the fun of the adventure. Whereas like suffering and like torture and stagnation, like once you've explored it, you kind of explored it. Like, I don't think I'm going to come back to all this in my like soul journeying to be like, did I miss anything? It's like, yeah, no, it's pretty boring. It's pretty simple. Once you've done it, you've done it. and we're done. Right? Do you know why theoretical physics and theoretical astrophysics and just like theoretical math, it's all complicated? Because it's like, imagine making a game, like a board game, a video game. And remember when we used to go outside and make games? Catch this, do this, jump over that, and then pick up, like imagine making a game where the rules that you make up for the game are like really complicated, and then they don't make the game fun. Now you're just making up the rules. They could be anything. It could be an entirely different game because you've got the same environment as any other game maker. We're just kind of stuck in a global shitty game where the only ones that are winning aren't even winning. And it's just they're only winning at the shitty games they're playing. Where it's like, you want to play all unpracticed at faith and belief in self, not just like belief in self and self-esteem, but I think even more potently is the belief in other. We have there's like this collective unconscious faith in authority as evidenced by the world right now. It's like so much stupidity just following along. Oh, this is what's happening. Oh, this is what we do. Oh, this is what we say. You can know what's going on for yourself, from yourself, as yourself. I don't know. Be better. We are better. You're better. I hope this was fun and interesting. I'm really happy that you were hanging out with me. That's why I do it. I haven't come along and sung for a while, but that's because someone's quarantined. So I'm alone, but I'm not even alone. But I believe really strongly that my days of having to accomplish the work that I do in the environment that I do have got to be numbered. Because I only want to do what I love. And what I love can be closer. It doesn't actually matter what's around me. It matters who. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day in the game that you play. You can go, but you will always stay in the center of my heart. No matter where you start, if you push left or right, or even up or down, you'll always find that you will always be inside my heart. I love you. I had a lot of fun. I love talking about this kind of stuff. So thanks for letting me have someone really awesome to listen to. You're a genius. I'll talk to you later. No doubt. Peace out. 8-Town. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Peace. I love you.